You've heard it 1,000 times. It takes 21 days to build a habit. 21 days, and it becomes automatic. 21 days, and the hard work is over. 21 days, and you're a new person. There's just one problem. It's completely wrong. And not slightly wrong, significantly, provably, scientifically wrong. The kind of wrong that has caused millions of people to quit habits they could have kept, simply because they were counting down to the wrong finish line. Today we're going to look at where this myth came from, what the research actually shows, and, most importantly, what this means for every habit you're trying to build right now. Welcome back to Clearer Thinking. So where did the 21-day myth come from? In the 1960s, a plastic surgeon named Dr. Maxwell Maltz noticed that his patients took roughly 21 days to get used to their new appearance after surgery. He wrote about this observation in his book Psycho-Cybernetics, published in 1960, and noted that it seemed to take a minimum of 21 days for a new mental image to form. That word minimum got lost somewhere along the way. Self-help authors picked up the idea, stripped out the nuance, and turned it into a rule. 21 days became the magic number. It spread through motivational books, corporate training programs, and eventually the internet, until it became one of the most repeated pieces of advice in the entire personal development space. But Maltz never said habits form in 21 days. He said it takes at least 21 days for a mental self-image to begin shifting. That's a very different claim, and even that was based on personal observation, not controlled research. The 21-day rule was never science. It was a misquoted observation that went viral before the internet even existed. So what does the actual research say? In 2010, health psychology researcher Philippa Lally and her team at University College London published a study that tracked 96 people over 12 weeks as they attempted to form new habits. Each person chose a simple behavior: drinking a glass of water with lunch, eating a piece of fruit each day, going for a 15-minute walk after dinner. The result? On average, it took 66 days for a new behavior to become automatic, not 21. 66. But here's the part that doesn't get talked about enough. The range was enormous. Some habits became automatic in as few as 18 days. Others took as long as 254 days. The same simple behavior varied by more than 200 days between different people. What determined the difference? 3 things stood out in the research. Consistency, how regularly the behavior was performed. Complexity, simpler behaviors automated faster than complex ones. And context, behaviors attached to existing routines and environments formed faster than those attempted in isolation. In other words, the number doesn't matter nearly as much as the conditions. We covered neuroplasticity in video 2. Remember, neurons that fire together, wire together. Every repetition of a behavior strengthens the neural pathway. There is no magic number at which the pathway suddenly becomes strong enough. It's a gradual process that varies for every person and every behavior. The question was never how many days. It was always how many repetitions, in what context, with what consistency. So if the number doesn't matter, what does? 3 variables determine whether a habit sticks, and all 3 are things you can control. Variable 1, consistency over intensity. Showing up every day for 5 minutes beats showing up once a week for an hour. Every single time. The neural pathway doesn't care how impressive your effort was on day 1. It cares how many times you repeated the behavior. Daily repetition, even tiny repetition, builds the pathway faster than occasional bursts of motivation. This connects directly to what we built in video 3. Your morning framework, protect, prime, plan, works because it creates daily consistency, The routine becomes the repetition. Variable 2. Friction reduction. The harder a behavior is to start, the slower the pathway builds. We talked about the amygdala in video 2, your brain's threat detection system. High friction habits trigger more resistance. Low friction habits get repeated more often and automate faster. Make the behavior as easy as possible to start. Leave your running shoes by the door. Keep the book on your pillow. Put the glass of water next to the kettle. Reduce the gap between intention and action to as close to 0 as possible. Variable 3. Identity alignment. This is the deepest lever. If the habit aligns with how you see yourself, it automates faster because your brain is actively looking for evidence to confirm your identity. We covered this in video 2. You're not trying to do the habit. You're being the kind of person who does the habit. That shift changes everything. So how do you practically track habit formation without obsessing over a day count? 2 things. First, stop counting days. Start counting streaks. A streak measures consistency, which is the actual variable that matters. If you miss a day, the streak resets. That's not failure. That's data. It tells you something interrupted your consistency, and you need to address it. The most effective streak tool is also the simplest, a habit tracker. A piece of paper with boxes to cross off, 1 box per day. No app required. The physical act of crossing off a box creates a small dopamine hit that reinforces the behavior. We'll cover dopamine in detail next week. Second, define your minimum viable habit. Your habit is not, go to the gym for an hour. Your minimum viable version is, put on gym clothes. That's it. On the days when everything is hard, that's all you have to do. Showing up in a reduced form is infinitely better than not showing up at all. It keeps the neural pathway active. It maintains the streak. And more often than not, once you've started, you continue. Don't count to 21. Don't count to 66. Just don't break the chain. Here's what we know. The 21-day rule is a myth, a misquoted observation from a 1960s plastic surgeon that became one of the most repeated lies in self-help history. The real research says 66 days on average, with a range of 18 to 254, depending on the person, the behavior, and the conditions. But the number was never the point. Consistency matters more than duration. Friction matters more than motivation. Identity matters more than intention. Stop counting days. Start building systems. Use the 5-second rule to start. Use your morning framework to create daily context. Reduce friction until starting feels effortless. And define your minimum viable habit for the hard days. Everything we've covered on this channel builds into one connected system. And next week, we go deeper into the neuroscience of dopamine and why your brain is addicted to exactly the wrong things. Subscribe to Clearer Thinking so you don't miss it. And if you want to catch up on the full series, I've linked all 3 previous videos on screen now. See you next week.